On Friday, March the 6th, or before that, we left for work with visions of spring break dancing in our heads. This thing called coronavirus or COVID-19 was in the news, but it really wasn't a problem here. Then things began to change very quickly and somewhat chaotically. On Wednesday, March the 11th, the university issued a statement recommending that faculty move face-to-face classes online immediately. This was quickly followed by the Board of Governors' mandate that all universities transition to remote instruction effective immediately, with face-to-face instruction set to resume on March 30th. A handful of days later, there is as much uncertainty about how the remainder of the semester will unfold as there was on March the 11th. The one thing that is certain, however, is that faculty are faced with the daunting task of moving face-to-face instruction online immediately. What I'd like to do in this presentation is to share some of the things that I've learned over the years in developing and teaching online classes. I'll be the first to say that there are a lot of faculty in the College of Business who are quite adept at online instruction, so this is just one view. What I'm going to do here is break the presentation up into 3 parts. In part 1, my focus will be on how I develop online courses, the PC versus the Mac. I actually prefer to work in the iOS environment rather than the Windows environment. However, since the majority of faculty, I think, reside in the Windows environment, I'm going to limit my comments to that. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. There is so much swirling around in my head about all of this that it could quickly get out of hand if I didn't follow the keep it simple, stupid advice, so I'm at least going to try. In part 2, I'm going to talk about different hardware options that I've used in the past and what I think works best, at least for me. I'm also going to talk about different software options that I've used in the past and what I think will probably work best for you in this compressed time period. In part 3, I'm going to get a little bit philosophical, starting with accessibility. In all of this, accessibility is really the elephant in the room, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on accessibility. Rather, I'm going to offer a handful of suggestions that you should probably consider in putting together your online courses. I'm going to end this with some thoughts about where to go from here. So, here we go. When I first started developing online courses over 25 years ago, I spent a lot of time playing with different things and learning what worked and what didn't work, and I'm still learning today. The one thing, though, that has stood the test of time, at least for me, is the narrated PowerPoint. To be clear, I am not a fan at all of using PowerPoints in face-to-face classes. The term death by PowerPoint actually comes to mind. However, in a virtual environment, the audio really does need to be married with some sort of visual representation. I've tried drawing on whiteboards, using cutesy animations, and other things, but I keep coming back to the narrated PowerPoint, which is what this presentation is. When I first started doing this, it didn't occur to me that an hour and 15-minute presentation was any problem. That's what was done in a face-to-face class, so why not online? It actually took me a bit of time to come to the realization that a lot of experts say today that the optimum time for a presentation is somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. Therefore, I had to think differently about the material and break it up into manageable chunks. Finally, I needed to keep it simple, stupid. What that meant was not trying to cram everything about a topic into a presentation and not filling the PowerPoint slides with a lot of text. In addition, it meant not being cutesy with animations like words flying in and out, but keeping the animation simple as well. It also meant keeping a high contrast ratio between the slide background and the text. That's why I like to use black text on white background. I actually grew up in a PC environment, but over time switched to the Mac, and I do most of my work now on the Mac. However, for developing online courses, I really prefer the PC. There's a lot of software that's been developed for both the PC and the Mac, but the PC-based software tends to be more sophisticated and user-friendly. Therefore, I'm going to limit my comments to the PC. Now, I've mentioned keep it simple, stupid before, but I think it's worth focusing a little bit more on this. I could spend hours and hours talking about different techniques and different hardware and software that I've used in the past, and subtle and not so subtle differences between and among them. However, the purpose of this presentation is to focus on the present and the hardware and software that I would recommend and why. In part 2, I'm going to talk about different hardware options that I've used and also different software options that I've used.